Hello and good morning, my beautiful collective. I'm so glad to have you here this morning for another beautiful tarot reading that we're going to do together. Oh, no card left behind. This morning I myself am feeling a little bit spiritually drained, a little bit energetically distant from the source of belief and self-love and purity and connection that I am always hoping to sort of bring to these videos. So I thought we might do some self-love spreads today. Something that might touch myself, and then also I believe something that will touch others and help them identify how they are feeling right now, and I think a time that is difficult for a lot of people, a time of heavy transitions, a time of endings, a time of mourning, and a time of love. This is a celebration of love in some ways that I thought we might participate in together. So that's where I'm going with today's tarot reading. And if you would like to stick around, I think that's awesome. I'm going to be making 2 piles today to do 2 different self-love readings. I'm pulling cards at random as they speak to me because I feel like that's the best way to communicate with the deck and just kind of see where we're at. This particular spread is newer to me. I do a lot of mind, body, spirit spreads. I find them really like solid communication with spirit. But I'd like to branch out, and I'd like to find some new ways to communicate with energy. So I think that's something that we're going to do today together. We're going to do these 2 self-love spreads. I will be indicating my piles today with this beautiful rose quartz that, of course, represents love and peace and connection, wholesome spiritual interaction, connection to a partner, connection to yourself. If you feel drawn to this beautiful rose quartz, I recommend you claim the energy on this pile right here. For the second pile, I'm going to be using this beautiful fire quartz. Fire quartz is all about manifestation and personal strength. And I'm going to go ahead and put that one right here. Kind of let that charge up the energy of this pile. If either of these particularly speaks to you, go ahead and set your sights on a particular one of these. I'm going to go ahead and set the fire quartz one aside for now. We'll do that at the second part of the reading. And I'm going to place the cards for this first spread. So this is a self-love tarot spread that I'm hoping will help us identify a little bit some of those problems that are causing some negative energy and our ability to cleanse and love ourselves and what might be preventing that. So card 1 is going to be how I see myself. That's going to go right here. Card 2 is going to be my true self. So I imagine that as sort of the higher self, the spiritual self, as one might do in the mind, body, spirit reading for that apex of the arc. What is blocking me from loving myself? That is going to be card 3 right here. And then how can I bridge that gap? That's going to be card 4. So how I see myself, my true self, what's blocking me from loving myself, and how can I bridge that gap. So we'll go ahead and start with how I see myself. That is the Page of Swords reversed. Right away we know that swords are about ideas. Right away we know that swords are strong cards. And a page, it's going to be sort of at the beginning of an apex for that idea. So it's not a queen, it's not a king, it's not a knight. It is reversed, however, and that's going to sort of represent being scatterbrained, cynical, maybe a lot of brain fog, maybe a lot of lack of planning, maybe a lot of lack of construction. I would say when this comes to how I view myself, how I see who I am, this individual is speaking to like disorganization as a strong struggle. Maybe you are a person who has like a lot of, I'm getting like maybe ADHD, or if you are not a person who likes to label yourself, maybe just someone who has struggled for a long time to find focus, to find clarity. Maybe you see yourself as really disorganized. Maybe you see yourself as really scattered and unable to make and hold strong ideas and connections because of this sort of like flightiness, this cynicism. I think that maybe you are a person who had a lot of hope and have lost a lot of that hope, and now you feel like you are this bitter person, this tea leaves at the bottom of the mug. There is pain in this, I think, and there is a sense of like feeling like you know that the way that you interact with other people is not indicative of who you want to be. It's indicative of the pain and the habits that exist inside of you, that maybe there is some like rudeness. Maybe you bring some of that to the table, because we have to keep in mind that this card is how you see yourself. So it's not necessarily that other people are being rude to you with the placement of this card. I think it's that you maybe have hit a point where you are so fed up that politeness doesn't even really matter to you. I feel like you see yourself as a survivor. You see yourself as someone who maybe copes with pain through like humor or irreverence, but the fact of the matter is that you keep getting up every day despite how hard it is to get up every day, and that's really impressive, despite it being maybe something that you're not taking as much pride in yourself as perhaps eventually you could. So this next card is going to be representative of the higher self, my true self, my spiritual self. If this is how I see myself, then this is how I want to see myself, I think. This is how I could be if I were not the way that I perceive myself. So we will go ahead and see what that card is. The Page of Pentacles, another page. I love how it's Page of Swords reversed and then Page of Pentacles upright. The Pentacles are about having. The Pentacles are about receiving like rewards. I think that the Pentacles are about bringing personal strength to an apex and having a good result from that apex of strength and dedication. The Page of Pentacles is about like being goal-oriented, a planner, maybe a little bit of a star student, very grounded, very faithful, very dependable, and it really speaks to exactly the opposite of this Page of Swords reversed. This is chaos. This is disorganization. This is, Spirit is really weighing heavy on me, guys. I can feel this. This is so intense to someone out there. The interplay between these cards, the interplay between what these cards mean to you, that you have this Page of Swords that is representative of this pain and this disorganization, and then you have this star student moment, because you have the capacity to be this incredible person, to be this organized person, to be this dedicated, loyal, faithful, dependable person who says they'll do something and does it because that's the kind of person that they are. And I think that right now that's maybe not where you are, but I think that it's where you want to be, and where you know that you want to be, and where you know you're capable of going. And that is, it's really awesome to know that you have this in you, because that tells you that every choice that you make, you are being inevitably drawn a little bit closer to this, especially when you choose to step away from the things that are keeping you trapped in this sort of negative spiral, and step towards the higher self instead. And in terms of stepping towards the higher self, let's talk about what is between these two places. What is blocking you from loving yourself? Because I do believe that this is a radical act of love. This is a radical act of forgiving this disorganized, maybe selfish person that is what you have become, what you were feeling, and instead becoming this faithful self. Something is in the way. Something is hurting you. Something is bringing you pain. Something is blocking you. And we're going to see what that is. That is justice reversed. And right away, we can see that justice has the blue butterfly on it. You all know, if you know me, that the blue butterflies for me are self-expression. So right away, we can see, even before we dive into the actual interpretation of this card, that in a reversal, there is a loss of self-expression happening. That is part of this. But honestly, justice reversed is such a strong meaning in a card. This is injustice. I mean, flat out, this is injustice. This is dishonesty, corruption, unfairness, avoiding accountability. This is something something so immense. There is an accountability here, right? There's a loss of accountability here. The disorganization. This is really speaking to me, guys. I know that it's speaking to someone else out there. And if you are the one who is receiving this message and you are going through this, I truly feel for you in the deepest, biggest place of my heart, because, girl, I get it. This hurts. The clearest way I can say this is that even in the disorganization, you are not holding yourself accountable for the decisions that are preventing you from becoming this person. You have probably experienced a lot of corruption. You've probably experienced a lot of injustice. You have probably experienced a lot of unfairness. Someone trying to block your self-expression is definitely, I think, part of this message. And that has brought you to this place of cynicism. Because if the world isn't fair, why bother trying? That's what this says to me. If the world isn't fair, why love yourself? Why behave in this radical act of self-love? Because you already know that corruption is going to take it away from you. But at the same time, because of that cynicism, because of that belief that is negatively impacting the relationship between this and this, you are not reaching this place because you're already so sure that the result is going to be negative as you take a step in this direction, that you are just not you're not bothering, you're not holding yourself accountable for not being your higher self, because the state of the world may be, because the personal injustice you've experienced may be, because you just don't believe. I think maybe I'm getting that sense that you are a person who has given up on your potential for achieving this, and it's just not true, baby. I mean, this Page of Pentacles is waiting for you. This faithful self that you could be. You can see here this Owl of Wisdom on the card. To me, owls are representative of Athena. That may not be your pantheon or spiritual calling, and that's completely okay. But owls, Athena, the representation is wisdom. There's a wisdom here that comes from knowing yourself. There is a wisdom that comes from seeing this cycle of negativity and saying, I don't choose to participate in it. I choose to be faithful in my own sense of self anyway. And that is strong. And this is a painful cycle, but I believe that this last card, which is how can I bridge the gap, is going to give us maybe some insight into escaping this negative sort of spiral, this tight coil of cynicism and irresponsibility, and maybe the numbing of pain to avoid the guilt of not becoming this higher self. So how can we bridge the gap? Ace of Cups. Interesting. Our first sort of heavily water card of the pull. Cups are a little different from the rest of the suits. Cups are about creativity and intuition. The ace is right at the beginning of the cups. So this is like love, to be perfectly honest. This is love. This is emotional awakening, spirituality, intuition, maybe creative like projects. Wow. What a beautiful ending. How do I bridge the gap? How do I break this cycle? With love. With love, baby. With love. With loving yourself. With loving your world. With saying it doesn't matter about the corruption and the dishonesty because I'm gonna love myself anyway. And it doesn't matter that I'm disorganized and sometimes I'm rude and sometimes I make mistakes. I'm gonna love myself anyway. Whew, I'm getting a little heated. These are a pair. This is the recipe for this conclusion. It's about not giving up on yourself. It's about facing the same challenges again and again and again and saying, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter because love is what matters most, because love is the answer, because love is the recipe, because new awakenings, new feelings, new energy, this is flooding you. And if you're here on this video, you are feeling this already. You clicked in here, I believe, because you're a person who experiences a lot of love, maybe a highly sensitive person who is in this cycle as a protective measure to keep you from feeling the pain of not achieving this higher self state, of letting your inner self down and being and remaining trapped in this disorganized cycle. And love is your answer. Love is your escape. I truly believe that you are every bit this person already, and whether or not that is covered up with years of dirt and grime from intentionally ignoring it, when you start to love yourself, this self will start to shine through again. And I am immeasurably proud of you for taking the steps, despite the injustice of this world, to love yourself anyway, to achieve your highest self anyway. And through that self-love, I believe that anything is possible for you. And I'm just so immensely proud to have shared this moment with you. And I hope that it means something to you and that you can find the strength to keep going forward with this. And you deserve every bit of that rose quartz energy, that pure, strong, faithful love. I'm immensely proud of your accomplishments. Alright, Fire Quartz pile. You already know what time it is. It's time to start your self-love reading. Whenever I assign the Fire Quartz to a pile of cards, I already kind of have an idea that the reading is going to come out, I want to say like with a little bit of cinnamon, with a little bit of spice. I think that because this is a self-love reading, you are going to get similar messages to the quartz pile, it's impossible not to, because we are directly asking the cards today. We're directly talking to Spirit today about the prospect of self-love, the prospect of sort of that next step in that way. However, I can already sort of tell that because of this fire quartz, which does bring manifestation and spiritual power, but also brings in that rusty red, that fiery spirit, that there's going to be a little bit more bite to this reading. That's just my suspicion. I don't know. It could turn out to be the wateriest reading that's ever happened, and in that case, Spirit is really trying to say something. But in this case, I do believe that this Spirit is going to bite a little bit. This reading is going to bite a little bit. Spirit is going to bite me. So this is going to be the How I See Myself card. This card right here, I'm seeing a little bit of a bend across it. I don't know what card that represents, but it must be a well-loved card. And I am being called to flip it, so this is going to be my true self. And I'm really interested to see what comes with the true self card. Just to see what is compelling that, right? And then this is going to be what is blocking me from loving myself. And then this is going to be how do I bridge that gap? And we will see what your reading has to say to us this morning. So we're going to go ahead and get started with How I See Myself. This is the Queen of Swords reversed. And the Queen of Swords is a beautiful card. We can see here we've got this sort of floral elements. I'm going to flip it over so you can really see it. These sort of beautiful butterflies, these floral elements of these lovely heart-shaped flowers. So that's a strong pull, right? A queen in the deck anytime is going to be a strong pull. It's interesting to me that it's reversed. We know that swords represent ideas. We know that swords represent sort of directive. And so it'll be interesting to sort of like see how that plays in overall. Upright, the Queen of Swords is all about being honest and independent, right? So how do you see yourself? If it's the opposite of honest and independent, it's dependent. It's pessimistic, I think, perhaps. Maybe a little bit bitter. Maybe a little bit spiteful. I'm almost getting a sense of cruelty, though it's interesting cruelty coming into this, because this is how you see yourself. Do you see yourself as bitter and cruel? I think perhaps you do. I think perhaps you see yourself as deceitful. I think perhaps you see yourself, unforgiving is coming across. Unforgiving. Maybe you hold grudges for a really long time. Maybe there is a bitterness to you. Maybe your good opinion once lost can never be recovered. Something about this card to me speaks to that you have been damaged and you have hardened your heart to prevent yourself from being damaged more. There is a harshness to you. There's a harshness to the way that you view the world. I'm getting the sense that you view the world as very transactional. That like a Scrooge energy almost, though I'm sure that that's not who you are truly as a person, but that you view the world as very transactional. If you do a favor for someone, you expect them to be remembering that they need to do a favor for you. I'm getting maybe your past was very transactional. Maybe your family or past partners, someone who loved you instilled in you this sense of transaction, and I don't think that person has a lot of influence over you anymore. I'm getting that you are a strong and independent person, that you are a principled person, but also that bitterness is a little bit unavoidable in your sense of self, because you have been treated harshly, and as a result of that harsh treatment, you are a harsh person. You see yourself as a harsh person. You see yourself as a cruel person. You see yourself as the bad guy, the one that has to make the decisions that nobody wants to make, but you make them because you're so strong. You're so strong. You're just a little bit brittle. And I'm interested to see how that interplays with the true self, because that is what this next card is, and that is The Ace of Pentacles also reversed. Interesting. So this was our card with the little bend, and I did not remember what card it was, which is great. The Ace of Pentacles is the top of the deck. The Ace of Pentacles is the representation of resources, abundance, prosperity, manifestation, stability. The true self is rarely a negative. So it's interesting that this is coming up with sort of like missed chances, with sort of scarcity and deficiency and instability. I would say that there is an energy to this where your true self is locked behind this scarcity mindset. And I think that plays so interestingly into this Queen of Swords card. And I am actually probably going to draw a clarifier here, because the true self is a highest self, right? The true self is a highest being. And so it's not the scarcity mindset itself. The scarcity mindset is what is in front of the true self. The scarcity mindset is what is standing between you and the true self. Because the true self is going to be, if it's going to be this card, the upright version of this card, it's going to be abundance, right? It's going to be prosperity. It's going to be stability. And I think that abundance is something that is so scary for you, because you do have this cynicism and this bitterness and this transactional sort of nature, that the idea of living in abundance, like, you can't even look directly at that. Like, you're just gonna assume from the start that it's a bad investment of your time and energy. I am gonna draw a clarifier here. We've got the Six of Cups, which is this lovely little card. Here we've got this girl sort of serving tea to her little bears, and there's some fairies here. This lovely little moment. Six of Cups is gonna be water. Six of Cups is gonna be generosity. Because water is all about sharing, and it's all about having, and it's all about filling. Nostalgia, healing, comfort. Some of these things are going to come with this, and I think that you, like, what this says to me, right, is that we're going back to this transactional self, right? We're going back to this, maybe this bitter self, this self that is hanging on to everything with a tight fist. And abundance is what the universe wants for you. Abundance is the step out of this, right? Your abundance to be so overflowing that you have no choice, even, I think. You always have choice, but that you are so overflowing with resources that you must share them with others. And so in reversing this card, I think that you are afraid maybe of this higher self. I think that you're afraid of the generosity that you could bring to the world. I think that you're afraid of lacking in abundance, and that lack of abundance is making you think that you simply can't be a person who moves out of this scarcity mindset. I think that this scarcity mindset is keeping you from being this person of abundance, of generosity, of nostalgia, of healing and pleasure, because you feel like if you allow yourself to step in this direction, then everything is going to come down around you. You're going to hit this scarcity mindset. You're going to go broke. You're gonna get taken advantage of. You're gonna be sucked dry for everything that you have. And that fear is definitely based in these experiences that caused this bitterness, I think. And I'm interested to see sort of this card, right? Okay, so this is gonna be the King of Wands reversed. And its placement in this reading is also gonna be what's blocking me from loving myself. What's blocking me from taking this place in this mindset that brings me to this place of generosity, and maybe not looking at everything as so transactional, because you're so much more willing to share and heal and comfort and share your abundance with others. King of Wands rather, reverse, is like, it's like a tyrant card, right? It's domineering, It's vicious. It's powerless. I always draw attention to these antlers whenever I see it because they're so sharp and cruel looking. I'll hold this up so that you can see the sharp antlers here, right? Those are some vicious antlers. Those could cause some serious damage, right? So what's preventing you from loving yourself? What's preventing you from achieving this state of abundance? I would say that there's this viciousness. That there's this sense that behaving this way is ineffective. That behaving this way is weak, even. Acknowledgement of what you really want, which is to not be cruel, to not be scarcity based, to instead just boundlessly share the gifts that you have, share the power of manifestation that you have with others, is blocked by this feeling, I think, that if you do this, you're weak, you're ineffective, you're going to be driven to this place of powerlessness. You are blocked by this idea that ruthlessness is more important than generosity. That looking out for number one is the right direction to go. And it's interesting with these 3 reversed cards here. I'm really getting this sense that like this is like a pipe dream for you, right? Like you almost feel like you can't afford to love yourself, because if you loosen your grip at all, you are gonna slingshot off the momentum of your life. And you're afraid, I think, that you don't know where that slingshot is going to take you. There is no way to gracefully exit the ride because you have made a name for yourself. You have made your life around being domineering, maybe pinching pennies, maybe being the strong person in every room. You might be an Enneagram type 8 if you are this, or you might be an Enneagram type 3. Both of them are very sort of like closed fist mindset. Though of course there's nuance to every element always, and if this doesn't speak to you, maybe some piece of it is speaking to a part of you that you are just not quite connected to. But this is a house of cards, right? Not just a reading of cards. This is a house of cards, because the thing about ruling through dominance, the thing about being forceful, but feeling powerless to stop the momentum, is that eventually something is going to stop this cycle, because that's just how life works, right? Like something is going to blow a little bit too hard. You're going to weather a storm that you can't weather alone. You're not going to have this sense of community built up because you've been so close-fisted about how you spend your energy. And that is going to shake you, I think, to your core, and make you realize that this is unsustainable. And I encourage you to start considering that it's unsustainable now, while you are not maybe already broken down in that way. And maybe you are. Maybe you're already going through that and you're saying it's too late. But it's never too late, right? Because this is what love will bring us, right? This is this next step here, this how can I bridge the gap step. This is how you can start making those choices, bringing that self-love into your life. Ooh, the Two of Wands, upright. We are jumping all over the deck. I like that we went from the King of Wands to the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is going to be all about planning, making first steps, leaving your comfort zone. Leaving your comfort zone, taking some risks, baby. Taking some risks to do things differently, making some strong decisions, making some first decisions, right? So love for you is going to look like leaving your comfort zone. Love for you is going to look like saying, you know what? I forgive. I let go of that grudge. I let go of that pain. I let go of that need to be repaid. I'm going to do something to help others, not because I have an expectation of having that energy returned to me, but because it's the right thing to do, and because doing so is a radical act of self-love. Because when I heal the world, I heal myself. Woo! That is a strong energy coming off this. When I heal the world, I heal myself. You are capable of so much, right? Because this generosity, it's not just generosity by itself, it's generosity paired with abundance, right? You wouldn't be being called by Spirit to give if you didn't have something to give, right? You might say, I have nothing to give. I have no resources. I have no way to give back to the world in such a way that doesn't damage myself. That's a lie. That's your viciousness speaking. That's your tyrant self speaking, saying every one of those resources, every piece of that generosity that you have, it belongs to me. It belongs to me. Radical self-love is saying, actually, I belong to the world. I belong to everyone. And I will rediscover myself. I will discover this nostalgic inner child, this person who wanted to help everyone, who has felt trapped for so long by not having the resources to take those steps. That's going to come from taking those steps, right? And that may look very different for any one person executing it. It may look like sending that text message to that person who it's time to forgive. It may look like just forgiving them in your heart. It may look like not forgiving at all, but just choosing to move on, choosing to allow your energy to move on, and choosing to trust other people despite the fact that you were initially hurt and that initial hurt brought about this transactionary nature. This is a bold call to action. I'm getting a strong sense from this reading that you are a powerful leader who is being called into motion, that you have a lot to say to the world, that you have a lot of drive and a lot of self-discipline that is going to allow you to do such incredible things in your life, in the world around you. I think people are noticing you. People notice how powerful you are. But I also think that they don't think that they're going to get a slice of that, because they know that you only give yourself to the best. They know that you are a person who repays those who are close to you. And I think when they find that you are becoming a person who repays everything, you are becoming a person who is generous because your own nature is to be generous. Your own nature is to help others. That abundance will just flock to you. People will flock to you. People already think you're powerful. They already admire you. And I think that is just going to come your way so strongly as you step into this space of radical acceptance of your situation, of radical forgiveness, and of allowing yourself to be love and to love more than you fear. And that is really, really gorgeous as a reading. And I really love that for you. I really love how incredibly strong I feel like you are. And I'm just really impressed. Now I have this new deck. We are still getting to know each other. He or she or they. I like to usually call my cards she, because that's, how it goes. Just like a ship, but you never know. This is actually an oracle deck, which I'm less familiar with oracle decks than I am with the standard sort of tarot, and certainly than I am with my beautiful deck that I've been working with for many, many years. But this is an inner child oracle deck that is a little bit more about interpreting messages that may be coming through either from your inner self or to heal your inner self. And I thought that we might do a little bit of that quickly as just like an additional message to the inner self, sort of in relation to some of these readings, and in relation to sort of like, what does your inner child need to hear right now? So I think we're going to do this one for that rose quartz pull, just an extra message, just an extra little bit of something. And if Spirit has something to say, take it or leave it. I do not do reversals for oracle cards. They are already their own sort of distinct meanings, and they come through, I think, more as omens in our life than they come through as particular, like, specific, the 72 and 72 reversed, or I believe it's 78 and 78 reversed for the original tarot. This is going to be for that fire quartz reading. And I do have my inner child oracle guidebook here because I am still learning these oracle cards. But we are going to go ahead and just see if there's a little bit of extra something that Spirit is trying to say to us today in relation to these piles, this message of love conquers all, and this message of generosity and forgiveness and moving past transactionalism. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one. This is, you can do hard things. It is not as impossible as it may feel. And you can see this beautiful ship here that's sailing in the stars. You can do hard things. It is not as impossible as it may feel. And I'm going to see if our little book here has a little extra message to that, has a little extra spice to add to you doing hard things. I think you already know, especially in my rose quartz pile, that you can do hard things. It says, there are many things in this life that we feel we cannot or should not have to do. It can be overwhelming to think about, but the truth is that many things we label as hard could be more appropriately labeled as simply time-consuming or long. Sometimes not wanting to do a hard thing could be reminiscent of a mindset in childhood. You might want to take this moment to reassess what you consider too hard. What you consider beyond your reach. And I know that this reading was all about sort of like accepting that moving beyond cynicism and moving beyond that pain is going to come through love. And that, I can't think of a harder thing to do than to say, I'm not going to be cynical anymore. Instead, I'm going to embrace things with radical love. That is painfully difficult to do. But you can do it. Your inner child is reaching out to you with this message through Spirit in this moment and saying, I can love. I am still capable. I am still strong. And in that sense, I think that you should listen to them because you can. You are capable. You are powerful. And that is a fantastic tie into this. And let's see what we've got here for this fire quartz pile. Boop, 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 boop. Pull yourself close. Every part of your being is deserving of love. We've got this gorgeous, look at all these flowers hanging down. These beautiful flowers, these children sort of holding each other. You are deserving of love. I think that is so interesting coming off the back of this reading that was so about the transactional nature of things and the pain that comes along with the transactional nature of things, right? That you are a transactional person because you were hurt and that you maybe have difficulty sharing love and generosity and wealth and abundance with others because of that pain of not being held close. My little booklet for this card says, throughout life, harmful events can occur that bring about a splintering of the inner self. This separation within the self can be a necessary tool of survival where our inner world becomes overwhelmed and we're unable to process. However, the inner self will always desire reconciliation of these splintered parts. And the banished parts, the parts that are pushed to the back, are going to experience pain from that separation. By pulling those splintered aspects of ourself close, we can reunite. We can bring that power back to inside of ourselves. Wow. I just think that that's so radical coming off the back of this Queen of Swords reversed reading, which is talking about that pain that inner child has become so defensive, has become so harsh, has become so unwilling to forgive. That might be because there are parts of you that you have banished to the back of yourself. I encourage you to connect with your inner child and to see, do they feel close to you? Do they feel like they are radically loved by you? And if they don't, maybe consider folding this into this reading. Maybe consider that that self needs to be drawn in a little bit tighter. I just think that this has been a really beautiful, powerful reading. Guys, I'm so happy that we got to do this together. I think that you are incredible, and I am so excited to see what future readings may bring. I love you so much, and I will see you in our next video.